In any case of assumption, the auxiliary verb will be used. For example, this will be the book you want, I suppose. So although the person who is speaking is the first person, I suppose, but he will be using the word will in order to make the assumption that this will be the book you want. It cannot be used as the auxiliary verb shall. We cannot make the sentence, this shall be the book. If we are using shall here, then it becomes more of a command than of an assumption. Therefore, by using will here, we are trying to signify that by using the auxiliary verb will, we are assuming, there we are making an assumption. That will be the postman, I think. Again, the first person, I think, is assuming that the person at the door ringing the bell is the postman. So, another assumption and the use of will. If instead of the auxiliary verb will, we use the verb shall, then the sentence would sound totally different. It will become, that shall be the postman, I think. So that is totally incorrect, because then it would become more of a desire or more of an expression in which the person is saying, I think that shall be the postman. That is confirming, then it is no more an assumption. Therefore, in order to make it acceptable as an assumption, the auxiliary verb will be used. Another example of an assumption, I suppose they will catch the evening train. Because this is being said about the third person, so there is no possibility of using shall, especially when it is an assumption. I suppose the person who is speaking this is the first person, but when he talks about the third person's they, then he uses the auxiliary verb will in order to show that he is assuming that they will catch the evening train. They will live in their family house, I think. Even if it is a word which is being understood as said by the second person or the third person, still they have to use will. They will live in their family house. This is an assumption made by the speaker. He thinks that the people will live in their family house, but since it is only a supposition, only an assumption, therefore the auxiliary verb will be used. If we change the sentence and use shall instead, then it will become, they shall live in their family house, I think. Then it does not become an assumption or a supposition, rather it becomes a command or a wish or a desire which will happen in the future. So that expression will be totally different than expressing it as an assumption. Even if they say they will live in their family house, they think, still it is going to be will, because again it is just an assumption or a supposition. It is not a confirmation of an action which has to take place in future. Therefore, the auxiliary verb will be used. That will solve the problem, I suppose. Again, here there is no confirmation that the problem will be solved. Therefore, I suppose it will be solved. It is an assumption, and therefore instead of shall, we will be using the auxiliary verb will. For example, if the same sentence is changed by the use of auxiliary verb shall, it will become, that shall solve the problem, I suppose. In that case, it becomes a promise. That shall solve the problem, I suppose. But it is no longer an assumption. It is no longer a suggestion that it is going to happen or not. Rather, it is confirming that this is going to solve the problem. Therefore, in order to make it very clear that we are not confirming what we are saying, rather we are assuming or we are suggesting that something is going to happen in the future, it is very important to use the auxiliary verb will and avoid using the auxiliary verb shall, because then it is going to change the meaning of the sentence altogether.